Okay. Good evening, everybody. Having some technical difficulties with the microphone, and also for some reason, it is not allowing me to do it like this. It's just going to show up sideways for you. So we're just going to do it like this. I apologize in advance, but it is what it is. Okay. Let's get started. Tonight's class is in the merit of all the Jewish people, wherever they may be, especially those in the land of Israel and those who are in need salvation, who are held hostage, who are on the front lines, etc. Okay, so this week's Torah portion, please give me a thumbs up if you could hear. I'm going to try to speak a little louder because the microphone is not working. This week's Torah portion is Parsha's Mishpatim. Mishpatim means laws, and there are many laws in this week's Torah portion. I forget the number. It's over 100. We're going to talk about a specific set of laws. Most of the laws in this week's Torah portion are legal damages, financial law. I guess probably the best way of saying it. A lot of laws of damages. What happens if a person damages another person, a piece of property, an animal, etc. And we're going to talk about today are the 4 types of guardians. There are 4 types of people who guard something, and their responsibilities differ based on how it works. So let's dive into it. So Exodus chapter 22, verses 6 through 11. Ki yitin ish areyehu kesva kelim lishmar v'gunav mibesa ish. If a person gives his friend money or things, stuff, vessels, to guard, and they are stolen from the house of the person who is supposed to be guarding them, im lo yimatze haganov, if the thief is not found, v'nikrav bal habayis el ha'elokim, im lo shalach yodav melachas re'eyu. Then the homeowner shall approach the judges to swear that he has not laid hand upon his neighbor's property. So essentially what he says is, you give me something to watch, I watched it for you, and it was stolen from my house, so all he has to do is to swear in court that he did not steal it, he didn't damage it, and that is the law. And then he's off the hook. Okay, so something is stolen or lost. This is referring to somebody who is a non-paid guardian. Okay, so he is not paid. So therefore, the Torah says he is not liable for something that is lost or stolen. Next, we have somebody in Exodus, the same verses in 22, 6 through 11. If a man gives his neighbor a donkey, a bull, a lamb, or any animal for safekeeping, and it dies, breaks a limb, or is captured, and no one sees it, the oath of God shall be between the two of them, provided he did not lay his hand upon his neighbor's property, and its owner shall accept it, and he shall not pay. But if it is stolen from him, he shall pay its owner. Okay, so this is referring to somebody who is a paid guardian. Okay, so if he is a paid guardian, then what happens? If he is a paid guardian, the halacha is that he has to pay if it was stolen, but he doesn't have to pay if something like if the animal that he was given died. Okay, so essentially, an unpreventable accident, he is not liable but he is liable for preventable things like being lost or stolen because he's being paid. That's his job, is to prevent things that are preventable. Then we also have a borrower. Okay, so we have so far 2 types: a paid guardian and unpaid guardian, or really unpaid and paid. And then in verse 13, if a person borrows and the animal dies or breaks a limb, he shall pay. So actually a borrower, we'll see in a second, a borrower has to pay even for unpreventable accidents. He's the only one who has to pay. He is extra liable. Why? Because he's using the item himself. Okay? And verse 14 says, Im sacherhu, if he is a renter of the property, Huba b'schara, it has come for its rent. What does that mean? It has come for its rent, because he is not liable for unpreventable accidents, because that's the whole point. Why he's renting it? He's renting it in order he is not fully liable for what happens to the thing. So in other words, the reason why you would rent a car versus use your own car is because you don't want the wear and tear on your car. You don't want it to, if it were to get in an accident, you don't want it to you don't want it to happen to your own car. That's why you rent a car. So that's kind of the idea. Okay, so we have here, and Maimonides goes through this in his code, and this is discussed at length in the Talmud and the codes. So let's just go through it quickly. So we have, again, an unpaid guardian, a paid guardian, a renter, and a borrower. The only one who's liable for a unpreventable accident, like the animal. Let's say if you were given an animal for dying or breaking a limb, is the borrower. The renter, the paid guardian, the unpaid guardian, they're not liable for things out of their control. But the other three, meaning besides the unpaid guardian, they are all liable for things that are in their control, like theft or loss. That is something. The only one who is not liable is the unpaid guardian, because he's not getting paid. He's doing you a favor, so he's not like super careful about that. And in a case of negligence, obviously everybody is liable if they were negligent. For example, if you leave an animal next to the butcher shop, right, and it's killed by the butcher, that's a joke. But right, the things that are not properly taking care of the property, that is going to result in you being liable. Okay, so why are we talking about these four different people? The reason is that we know that in Genesis, the Torah tells us, chapter 2, verse 15, Vayikach Hashem Elokim es Adam, and God took man, Vayanicheu began Eden, and he placed him in the Garden of Eden, la'avda u'l'shamra, to work it and to guard it. So we see that humankind is the guardian of the world. So the fact that we are called the guardians of the world shows that we have similar obligations to and responsibilities to the world and to God as we do. So if we're going to learn what are the responsibilities of a guardian, we have to look in the laws of guardians, and we're going to learn from this what are the types of guardians. What are the different types of people who watch over the gifts that we are given in this world, and how we can learn a lesson and how to serve God? Okay, so we have first the unpaid guardian. The unpaid guardian, he is the most, it's the highest level of a person who serves God. He's serving God for no pay. He's not looking for a reward. So he's serving God. Why? To serve God. That is the only reason. So that, in fact, in Maimonides and his laws of repentance, he goes through this idea, and he says, a person who serves God out of love occupies themselves in the Torah and mitzvahs and walks in the path of wisdom for no ulterior motive. They don't act out of fear of punishment befalling them, nor in order to acquire benefit. Rather, they do what is true because it is true. And ultimately, good will come because of it. And this is a very high level which is not merited by every wise person. It is a level of our patriarch Abraham, who God described and said, he who loved me, for his service was motivated purely by love. Okay, so that is the highest level. Then we have somebody who serves God for a reward. He serves God for the benefits that he's going to get. In other words, he wants to receive a world to come, or maybe physical benefits in this world. Now, again, this isn't somebody who is slouching. This is somebody who's serving God. He's serving God with passion, with duty, with responsibility, with fear of God, but he's doing it for an ulterior motive, and he's looking forward to the reward that he's doing. So he's doing his job, and he's doing it properly, but what is the reason he's doing it? That's a little bit different. Then we have the reverse, is a renter. A renter is somebody who's looking. What is a renter? A renter is somebody who's looking to use the object that they are being given, and he's doing it for that is his goal. So in other words, the other person's goal was for the first person's goal, not the first person. The paid guardian's goal is the reward. This person is the object. In other words, he's doing mitzvahs in order to he's using mitzvahs in order to gain something from them, if that makes sense. So he's paying in order to use this thing. So in the parable, that would be somebody who donates charity so that his son should be recovered from an illness. In other words, he's saying that he's not doing the mitzvahs for their own reasons. He's not doing it for a reward. He's doing it so that he's using it as like a good luck charm, essentially. And so in other words, let's take that step back. Not as a good luck charm. He's using it as he wants the goodness of this world, and he realizes that in order to get the goodness, he has to do the good. He has to do Torah and mitzvahs. So again, he's doing it properly, but he's doing it because he's doing it because he knows this is how the world works. If you pay to play, right? Pay to pray in this case. So he knows that in order to get goodness in this world, if he wants his son to recover from an illness, he has to give charity. If he wants to have parnasa, he wants to have a good livelihood, he cannot work on Shabbos, etc. So he knows that there's reward and punishment, but he's doing it in order to get the goodness of this world, versus in order to get the reward that comes later, like in the world to come, that which is the paid guardian. Okay, now the last level is the borrower. The borrower is somebody who realizes, who takes the approach that, being the fact that by the way, all these people, all these different levels, doesn't mean that they're slouching in the actual observance. Okay, even the borrower, which we're going to say is the lowest level, is somebody who is observing all the Torah and all the mitzvahs, but he's not doing it with any passion or he's not doing it for any he's not doing it trying to get the right word. He doesn't see the connection between what he's doing and what he's getting. Okay, so the borrower, he views it that everything in the world is entitled to him because he's a Jew. He's the son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and therefore, because he's a Jew and he's the son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he deserves everything. And he doesn't see the connection between his service of God and the benefits that he gets from it. So it's totally disconnected from him. And he doesn't see that in order to deserve all the blessings and the goodness and the reward he's going to get is through his service of God. So he has an entitlement complex, essentially. And there's a story in the Talmud that kind of illustrates this point, that there was once a rabbi whose son hired workers, and Jewish workers, and he didn't specify what he was going to feed them. He told them he was going to give them food as part of their payment, but he didn't specify what kind of food it was or what level of food it was going to be. So this rabbi told his son, go back to these workers and stipulate what kind of food you're going to give them. Tell them you're going to give them beans and bread or whatever it was, because the fact that they're Jewish, that they're Jewish people and they're the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're deserving of really everything. They're deserving of nothing is good enough. So therefore you must stipulate what you're going to give them, so that way you're not obligated to give them what they really deserve, which is beyond even your capacity. And that's kind of the view of the borrower. So the borrower, on the other hand, though, what do we see from the borrower is that he is obligated to pay even if something unpreventable happens, right? He takes full responsibility for everything. Why? Because he cannot absolve himself from, since he doesn't see the connection between the fact that he serves God and he receives goodness, and therefore he cannot absolve himself of responsibility from this world. He can't say, well, I didn't serve God in this way, so therefore this came or this didn't come. He therefore is fully responsible for every single thing So he can't say, since he doesn't see that connection, that's how he's treated, and therefore he can't say that oh, I'm not I'm not deserving of that, because, right, he can't say that because he takes on ownership in a sense, kind of like the borrower. So, however, there is one exception to the rule that's specific by a borrower. In Exodus verse 13, chapter 22, verses 13 and 14, it says as follows: If a person borrows an animal from his neighbor and it breaks a limb or dies, if its owner is not with him, he shall surely pay. However, there's a continuation from that verse, and it says, if its owner is with him, he shall not pay. So there's an exception that if the owner is there with him at that time when the accident happened, meaning the unpreventable accident, which really the borrower should be liable for, but if the owner, the true owner, is there at that time, he is not obligated at all. Now, what does that mean in a spiritual sense? Is that if God gives us abilities and we keep God with us all day, even though we may not be on the level, even if somebody who we're not on the level, even someone who's doing it for reward, we're not even on the level of doing it for of serving God for the benefits that we receive in this world, we totally see a disconnect between ourselves and this world. But if God is with us, then we are not liable for any damage that happens to our soul. We're not liable for any damage that happens in this world. So how do we do that? How do we keep God with us every part of the day? And the truth is that when we wake up in the morning and we start our day with God by starting our day with prayer, starting with Modani, the first prayer, it's one line, it's not so difficult, right? Saying that we accept God upon ourselves. And we start our day with prayer. Before we get to our own stuff, we pray to God. Before we start our work, before we eat breakfast, and take the whole day, right? We prepare to pray, and we pray right away. Then God is with us. And in fact, if you look in Maimonides, in his Code of Jewish Law, he discusses this exact idea in the legal sense about when is it that an owner is with them. He says, when does the above apply? Here we go. He says as follows: when does the above apply? When the watchman asked or hired the owner to work at the time he took the article, even if the owner was not with him at the time the article was lost or destroyed by forces beyond his control. If, by contrast, he took the article and became responsible as a watchman at the outset and afterward asked or hired the owner to work, he is not absolved of responsibility. Even if the owner was standing nearby at the time the entrusted article was destroyed by forces beyond the watchman's control, the watchman is liable to pay. Okay? So, Maimonides says actually it depends on when it starts. Specifically, that if the borrower is not with the owner at the time of the beginning of the process of the borrowing process, that's when you have a problem. So that's why we see how important it is that we are spiritual in a spiritual sense, that we have to take responsibility for all the gifts and all the goodness in our soul that is given to us and all the opportunities that we have in this world, that we start our day with God. Then God is with us the entire day, and we are not, even if something that happens to us, that we make a mistake, and we damage, God forbid, our soul, we God forbid, damage an opportunity that we've been given, if God is with us, then we're off the hook. Even if it's something that happened because of negligence, God will take care of us. So it's a very important lesson from this week's Torah portion, from the laws, a little legalese over here, from the laws of guardians and guardianship, that if we want to take responsibility for our actions, the best way is to take responsibility together with God, and He will take care of us. Wishing you a good Shabbos, and God willing, we will see you next week.